If you're in your 40s and you've been trying to lose fat, you've probably spent countless hours on the treadmill, elliptical, or running outdoors. You might even feel like you're stuck in a cycle where the cardio never seems to deliver the results you want. Well, I've got news for you that might completely change your approach to fitness. The best exercise for fat loss in your 40s isn't cardio at all. It's strength training. And if you're not doing it yet, you're missing out on the most powerful tool available to transform your body. If you're watching this because you're looking for real answers about getting lean in your 40s, hit that subscribe button right now. We're diving deep into science-backed strategies that actually work, not fitness myths. Let's start with the fundamental truth that most people miss. Your metabolism changes as you get older. In your 40s, your body naturally loses muscle mass at an accelerated rate compared to your younger years. This process is called sarcopenia, and it's a silent killer for your fat loss goals. When you lose muscle, your resting metabolic rate drops significantly. That means you're burning fewer calories just sitting around, even when you're not exercising. This is precisely why cardio alone becomes increasingly ineffective as you age. You can run for an hour and barely make a dent in your calorie deficit because your body isn't working hard enough to preserve or build muscle tissue. Strength training addresses this problem head-on. When you lift weights or use resistance bands, you're sending a signal to your body that your muscles are needed and valuable. Your body responds by preserving muscle tissue and even building new muscle fibers, especially if you're combining strength training with adequate protein intake. This muscle tissue is metabolically expensive, meaning it requires calories just to exist and maintain itself. More muscle means a higher resting metabolic rate, which means you burn more calories throughout the day, even while you're sleeping. The science is clear on this. Studies have consistently shown that people in their 40s who incorporate resistance training into their weekly routine lose more fat than those who only do cardiovascular exercise. One landmark study followed two groups of people over 12 weeks. One group did traditional steady-state cardio, while the other did resistance training combined with lighter cardio. The resistance training group lost significantly more body fat, particularly around the midsection, where many people struggle in their 40s. Even more impressive, they maintained or even gained muscle mass while losing fat. But here's where it gets even better. Strength training creates what's called the afterburn effect, or excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. Your body continues to burn elevated calories for hours as it repairs muscle tissue and restores hormonal balance. This doesn't happen to nearly the same degree with steady cardio. You finish your cardio session, and your metabolic elevation drops quickly. You finish a resistance session, and your body is still working hard for you long after you've left the gym. There's another critical factor that people often overlook. Strength training improves your body composition in ways that the scale doesn't always reflect. Muscle is denser than fat, meaning it takes up less space in your body. You might not see a huge drop in weight, but your clothes will fit differently. Your body will look more toned, and your measurements will shrink. This is far more valuable than chasing a number on the scale, especially in your 40s when hormonal changes can affect water retention. Let's talk about the practical reality of doing strength training in your 40s. You don't need to become a powerlifter or spend 2 hours in the gym. 3 to 4 sessions per week of focused resistance training is optimal for most people. Each session should last between 45 minutes and an hour. You're looking at compound movements like squats, deadlifts, chest presses, rows, and overhead presses. These exercises work multiple muscle groups simultaneously, which is incredibly efficient and effective. Compound movements are essential because they create the greatest metabolic demand on your body. When you do a squat, you're engaging your legs, your core, your back, and your stabilizer muscles. When you do a deadlift, you're working nearly your entire body. These big movements burn more calories during the session, create greater hormonal responses that favor fat loss, and trigger more significant afterburn effects. Isolation exercises like bicep curls have their place, but they shouldn't be the foundation of your fat loss strategy. The resistance doesn't have to come from heavy barbells either. Dumbbells, resistance bands, kettlebells, and even bodyweight exercises can be incredibly effective when programmed correctly. The key is progressive overload, which means you're gradually increasing the demands on your muscles over time. This could mean adding more weight, doing more repetitions, reducing rest periods, or improving your form and range of motion. Progressive overload is what signals your body to keep building and preserving muscle. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Does this mean you should completely abandon cardio? No, but it means you should reframe how you're using it. Cardio has benefits for cardiovascular health, mental health, and general work capacity. But if fat loss is your primary goal in your 40s, cardio should be secondary to strength training. A reasonable approach is 2 to 3 strength sessions per week, combined with 1 to 2 lighter cardio sessions. The cardio can be walking, cycling, swimming, or any activity you enjoy. The key is keeping it at a moderate intensity that allows you to recover between strength sessions. High-intensity interval training, or HIIT, is worth mentioning because it sits somewhere between traditional cardio and strength training in terms of effectiveness. HIIT sessions create an afterburn effect similar to strength training and preserve muscle better than steady-state cardio. However, HIIT can also be taxing on your central nervous system, especially if you're already doing intense strength training. For most people in their 40s, 1 HIIT session per week combined with strength training is ideal. More than that can lead to overtraining and hormonal imbalance. Let me walk you through what an optimal week might look like. Monday, you do a lower body strength session focused on squats, deadlifts, and leg variations. Wednesday, you do an upper body strength session with pressing and pulling movements. Friday, you do another lower body or full body session depending on your recovery. You might add a moderate intensity cardio session on Tuesday or Thursday, maybe a 30-minute walk or light bike ride. 1 session per week could be HIIT, or you could skip it entirely if you're recovering well. This structure respects your recovery capacity while delivering the stimulus your body needs to lose fat and preserve muscle. Recovery becomes increasingly important as you get older. Your body takes longer to bounce back from intense training. This is why the quality of your nutrition between workouts is critical. You need adequate protein, probably more than you think. Studies suggest that people over 40 benefit from consuming around 0.9 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight daily. If you weigh 180 pounds, you're looking at around 160 to 180 grams of protein every single day. This supports muscle preservation and recovery from your strength training. Your carbohydrate intake should be timed strategically around your workouts. You want carbs before and after strength training to fuel your performance and support recovery. The rest of your day, you can be more flexible. But generally, a moderate carbohydrate approach combined with adequate protein and healthy fats works well for fat loss in your 40s. Focus on whole foods, vegetables, lean proteins, and avoid liquid calories and processed foods. It's not complicated, but consistency matters far more than perfection. Sleep is another non-negotiable factor that many people in their 40s compromise on. Your hormones that regulate appetite, fullness, and fat storage are heavily influenced by sleep quality and duration. Aim for 7 to 9 hours per night. This isn't luxury, it's essential recovery for your fat loss goals. When you're sleep deprived, your body produces more cortisol, which can promote fat storage, and less growth hormone, which supports muscle preservation and fat loss. Prioritize sleep like it's a workout, because metabolically, it is. Stress management is equally important. Chronic stress elevates cortisol levels chronically, which interferes with fat loss and muscle preservation. Your 40s often come with unique stressors. Maybe you're managing a career, family responsibilities, aging parents, or other pressures. Finding ways to manage stress through meditation, breathing exercises, time in nature, or hobbies becomes part of your fat loss strategy. This might sound tangential, but it's actually central to success. Let's talk about some common mistakes people make when they finally switch to strength training for fat loss. The first is doing too much too soon. Your tendons and joints need time to adapt to loading. If you've been doing mostly cardio, don't suddenly jump into heavy squats and deadlifts 5 days a week. Build gradually over 4 to 6 weeks, allowing your connective tissue to strengthen alongside your muscles. The second mistake is not eating enough. When you create too large a calorie deficit while doing intense strength training, your body will sacrifice muscle to meet its energy needs. You want to be in a modest calorie deficit, probably around 500 calories below your maintenance level, not a severe one. The third mistake is inconsistency. Strength training results compound over months and years, not weeks. If you do this for 4 weeks, take 2 weeks off, then do it again, you'll never build the momentum needed for transformation. Consistency over intensity is the real formula for fat loss in your 40s. You don't need perfect workouts. You need consistent workouts. The fourth mistake is ignoring your individual recovery capacity. Maybe full body strength sessions 3 times per week is sustainable for you, but upper-lower splits 4 times per week isn't. You know your body, your schedule, and your capacity. Build a program you can actually stick with. The mental shift required to succeed with strength training for fat loss is significant. You have to stop thinking about exercise as punishing yourself for eating and start thinking about it as building yourself up. Strength training is constructive. It's building muscle, increasing your capacity, making your body stronger and more resilient. This mindset shift alone can be transformative. When you approach your workouts with gratitude for what your body can do instead of resentment for what it looks like, adherence increases dramatically. If you're just starting out with strength training in your 40s, consider working with a trainer for a few sessions to learn proper form.